Welcome back. The agricultural sector has proven to be one of the hardest hit sectors during any active hurricane season. Hot 7 TV News sought comment from the Minister for Agriculture, Ezekiel Joseph, on what support can and will be provided to farmers in the event that any weather system affects the island. His response was that there's only so much the government can do. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
St. Lucia is approaching the peak of the hurricane season. Although COVID has been the main focus, many sectors announced their plans when there was an impending threat of Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Hot 7 spoke to Minister with responsibility for agriculture, Ezekiel Joseph, as to what support would be afforded to farmers before, during, or after a storm.
I'm happy you asked that question, and I'm sure I'm on the record of saying that farmers have to take responsibility because it's a business. So it's for farmers now to see the need and appreciate the need for them to be able to create that safety net for themselves.
He explained that there once was an insurance policy in place for the sector. However, this has since been discontinued as hurricanes caused damage, but not at the level that would warrant compensation.
It's unfortunate that the insurance company that was giving support has since decided to review. And the reason why they have decided to review, again, we experienced it when we had the passage of Tropical Storm Maria. What we experienced was storms at the velocity of 60 miles per hour. The trigger for any support under the insurance company is 65 miles per hour. And storms at 60 miles an hour affected the banana industry over 75%, right? So the trigger that would allow the farmers to benefit is too low, and that's how we believe that we have to start engaging the insurance company in the reviewing.
Joseph, however, did inform that farmers could receive support in what is called a post-COVID system.
We are giving support to all of the sectors. We have gotten $7.2 million EC dollars to give support to the fishers. The fishers will be getting fuel vouchers to the tune of about $800 to $900. Of course, registered fishers. We are giving support to our vegetable farmers as far as inputs and seedlings and land preparation. We are giving support to our agro-processors because the agro-processors are very important and critical to the agricultural sector. And our CMOS farmers are also getting support from us. Our livestock farmers are getting support from us.
Based on the commitment given by the Minister of Finance, farmers are currently solely to benefit post-COVID. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The Balanced Unified Tent has launched with a bang as the entity immediately begins preparations to host its first CAISO event come the 8th of August 2020. The event will serve a dual purpose, allowing Calypsonians a night of entertainment as well as raising funds to assist artists whose livelihoods have been gutted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
As part of UNESCO's Resiliat movement to promote the development and enjoyment of art as a catalyst for nurturing creativity, innovation, and cultural diversity, the Resilience CAISO Showcase will feature some of St. Lucia's most prominent Calypsonians in an effort to fill the void left as a result of the cancellation of Carnival 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have from Invader, T.C. Brown, Wally, Educator, Her Black, Taker. I don't want to miss my women Calypsonians as well. We have Black Pearl and Lady Lynn, and it's going to be a really good show. They're going to give you, a really an exciting night, a night that people are calling for Calypso.
During the VIP showcasing, social distancing and mask protocols will be in full effect.
It will be a VIP live broadcasting. We're going to give you it in VIP style. Again, we have to adhere to the protocols, social distancing. So this is why we are only holding 150 people. It will be outside of the cultural center. And we're going to, because of social distancing, the setup is going to be a very upscale setup. And we will ensure that persons have hand sanitizer and again We urge everybody, when you're coming, to wear your mask. If you don't have your mask, you will not be allowed to enter the premises. Walk with your mask.
This is the first showcasing of the Balance Unified Tent, which launched effective July 28, 2020. The showcase will take place on the 8th of August at the Cultural Center. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
The government of St. Lucia has appointed Claudia Edward Laudner as its newest Goodwill Ambassador. A talented musician, Claudia Edward is a household name in St. Lucia and the Caribbean. She is also popular in Asia, where she does her annual jazz circuit and has been the headlining act at the Jazz and Creole festivals in Dominica and the UK. In 2010, she founded a charity-based organization called Edward for Education. The foundation launched on the 22nd of November with the aim to provide the capital needed to facilitate effective teaching and learning in schools. With the endorsement of the Ministry of Education in St. Lucia, Edward for Education undertakes a yearly project to improve working and studying environments for teachers and students. Projects undertaken by the Edward for Education Foundation include the construction of a sick bay for the Corinth Secondary School, the hosting of Shakespeare workshop sessions, equipping a special education room for the Ave Maria Primary School, and the construction of a theater arts room for the Cicero Secondary School. As a newly appointed Goodwill Ambassador, Edward Laudner plans to continue activities and projects geared toward the benefit of St. Lucian youth. In other news, often consumers feel like they are getting the short end of the stick when it comes to enforcement of consumer protection laws. The Consumer Affairs Department says consumers can rest assured that the organization is working hard to resolve all reported consumer complaints. More in this report.
Consumer complaints are being addressed. The Acting Chief Complaints and Investigation Officer at the Consumer Affairs Department has assured the general public COVID-19 has not masked the department's work.
It is important to note that 90% of consumer complaints received during COVID period, they have been successfully resolved. 90%, and in fact, that percentage is a conservative figure.
Leslie Louis took his consumer complaint to the police. He sought resolution to an ongoing dispute.
The police tell me, well, they cannot do much for me in that area. The best place to go is to go to the Consumer Affairs Department. I felt I should just give up that. Because I know things that involve government, usually you have to go up and down, a lot of red tape, how much story. And I did that, but practically happened over the phone on WhatsApp. So I was very sad. To be honest, that was one of the main reasons why I feel you should always contact the Consumer Affairs Department, because I never thought it would have happened so easily.
The Consumer Affairs Department wishes to thank all businesses in St. Lucia who have cooperated in providing redress to consumers. Those efforts have not gone unnoticed.
Retailers of propane gas, the owners of establishments who retail spare parts and accessories for vehicles, and also retailers of furniture and electronics. We want to say thank you, and we would like you to continue this partnership between the Consumer Affairs Department, the consumers, and the business community.
Mr. Joseph also reminds consumers to keep their receipts as proof of purchase, ask questions about the product or the service, inquire and discuss issues relating to warranties. Marvin St. Louis, reporting from the Ministry of Commerce.
St. Lucia will soon lead the Eastern Caribbean region with the modernization of government's electronic public procurement application. The procurement software will make public procurement procedures faster and transparent while improving the competitiveness of public procurement by private sector companies. Glenn Simon tells us more.
Acting Permanent Secretary and Director of Finance Esther Rigobert signed a 5-year contract with British firm Intend Limited for the provision of an electronic government procurement application for the government of St. Lucia. The award of this contract marks the culmination of a sustained program of cooperation in the area of public procurement reform between the government of St. Lucia, the World Bank, and the Department of International Development (DFID) of the United Kingdom. But what exactly is public procurement? Anthony Jean, Assistant Director of Public Procurement, explains.
Procurement involves a more strategic aspect of looking at the entire cycle of an acquisition of a good, its usage, and replacement if needs be. In defining the use of that product, good, service, is developing the right specifications to meet your desired outcome.
With more than 500 institutions in over 100 countries around the world, Intend Limited is one of the world's leading providers of software as a solution, electronic government procurement application service providers. The service procured by St. Lucia will run the government's e-procurement application in the cloud, thus bringing the added advantage of climate resilience, as the hardware and software used on this platform will be beyond the reach of natural disasters such as hurricanes and floods.
One of the key deliverables of that process required the automation of the procurement aspect, receiving tenders, coordinating with vendors and that sort of thing. We went the route of acquiring a software as a service, which is relatively new in this part of the world. And e-procurement is a big thing in all modern jurisdictions, but normally what you see happening is persons developing their own applications. Recently, as last year, I think the government of Jamaica spent almost $2 million US in developing an e-procurement platform. We went a more fastly becoming popular route of doing a software as a service, whereas you simply subscribe to a service provider and you get all the functionality that you require. It is tailored to have a look and feel of your local environment.
Government is the single largest buyer of goods, services and works, making public procurement instrumental in poverty alleviation, promotion of good governance, enabling regional economic integration and international trade, including the implementation of national economic, social and environmental policies. However, before the electronic procurement system can be rolled out, the Director of Finance, Esther Rigobert, highlighted that it must be accompanied by reform of St. Lucia's procurement legislation and regulations.
There's the legislative review and legislative framework that we are going to enhance. And once that law is enacted, it would allow and stipulate what would be good governance for public procurement. So it's no longer going to be something that happens within the confines of government. It will be for the public to see, to read, and to familiarize themselves with the requirements, the guidelines, and procedures that will be applied to public procurement. The second aspect of the reform would actually be the system, the platform, through which persons would make submissions, whether it be bids or requests, and it would be a very, very transparent process and very efficient as well, so that our data, the data emanating from that system would allow for online real-time analysis of the data.
She added that the new legislation and procurement guidelines will soon be available to the public via the government web portal, but for the system to be fully effective, persons must educate themselves on the new guidelines.
So it's not just for us to have new systems and it cannot be used efficiently or effectively. Persons must avail themselves of the information, familiarize themselves with the requirements, make the necessary inquiries, and make sure they understand how it's to be used and make good use of it.
Testing of the localized e-procurement system is expected for August this year, with the pilot phase expected to go live by the end of September 2020. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Sports and weather are coming up after the break.